is they would take the Schedule C and your W-2. If you had 2 years of both, they would combine those and take they would take the 2 years and divide by 2. In other words, let me clarify. Let's assume you have 2 years. Let's assume you have 2 years of a W-2 from ABC Corporation. Okay, and you make this amount. Okay, you have 2 years 1099 as an independent contractor from some other company. They take 2 years of the Schedule C, divide it by 2. Here's this amount. 2 years of W-2, and they'll add that. Does that make sense? Okay. But the point is that there's people that need a lease purchase that aren't, haven't just crawled out from underneath a rock. I could tell you some of the people I've helped. I live close to South Lake, Texas. There's a lot of football and baseball players that live there. The ex-first baseman of the Texas Rangers, Mark Teixeira, could not sell his house. It was up in, I forgot the name, subdivision now. Anyway, he ended up for $5 million, or $4.5 million, $4 million. He ended up lease purchasing it, $13,000 a month. Yeah. Vaquero, he had a house in Vaquero. Couldn't sell the house. Lease purchasing at $13,000 a month. So, do you think everybody that was a lease purchase is dead? That's the thing, is that you've got to filter through these people and tell the sellers, look, I'm helping these people that need to buy a house. How to market sellers. Craigslist, we have scrapers developed specifically for our program. For sale by owner, which is like Land Boys.
What's a scraper? They scrape off the
Who asked that? I'm sorry. Yep. We have scrapers that we had developed from Craigslist where you type in the city and you're in the city. It'll pull off Craigslist listings in those cities for you.
Oh.
Yeah. I am probably the hoodlum of real estate. And the guy that started direct mail to listed houses. I hit those frequent things. I hit those listed houses, and people are amazed by it. But I hit direct mail, and that's how I get most of my listings on leasing to buy. Most of them are listed at the same time.
How long do they have to be off the listing and fire their agent before they can go on to a lease purchase?
Most of them are listed at the same time.
Same time.
Yeah, because they've got a contract with their agent, not with me. So what happens is, and that's a whole other, we could go on for another 3 hours about that. I heavily target listed homes because I'm thinking, here's the thing, is I spent so many months trying to figure out how do I get inventory. And I did the, driving around to the for sale by owners and blah, blah, blah. And, the cold calling for 2 hours a night and, people hanging up, got nowhere. And finally I thought, who's trying to sell their house? Oh, hello, light bulb, those that are listed. So I just started sending letters to listed homeowners. And suddenly I got calls, I got emails, and I got the houses. And that's how we get most of our inventory right now, is I send direct mail to listed houses. Now if they're listed with an agent at the same time, that's between them and the agent. I don't have a contract with their agent.
They have to get out of it,
How do
though.
they get out of it?
No, they don't have to get out of it.
They still get, the agent still gets a percentage once it's
That's
sold?
between them and the agent. I know you're thinking, what?
Yeah, oh yeah. I'm thinking what?
I have some agent friends, so we've got.
Well, no. Well, here's the thing: is that the owner has a contract with the agent. I approach it from I never tell an owner to cancel the listing. My goal is this: we're another pole in the water. If you have a listing that is active, and you want to go with us, that's great. But you better call your agent and let them know, look, I'm looking to do this leasing to buy. How will this work? And you all work it out. In other words, if the agent wants to get paid a certain amount or whatever, that's between you all. But once you all get that cleared up, here I
you have a sense what most of them do? Do most of them just let it expire and say, okay, thanks, see you later?
Most of them, well, I never know because I never talk to the agent. What most of them do, from my understanding, is just open a homeowner. Most of the homeowners will agree to pay the agent. They'll talk to the agent. Hey, listen, I know you've had the listing for 6 months or 5 months, whatever. I want you to keep it, but I'm looking at this leasing to buy as well. Try to do something else. I'll pay you whatever it is, a flat fee, whether it be $1,000 or $1,500, whatever that amount is. If we do a lease purchase first. Someone will pay him half 1 month's payment. It just depends on whatever they work out.
Okay, so they still have the option to sell it sooner than the lease
Oh,
option if they
yeah.
want.
So what happens is, you'd be surprised how many times, I can't tell you how many times this has happened. We get involved, and because we do a whole other marketing campaign than an agent does. We get involved and blast it out there, and within a week, the owner calls me and goes, yeah, I'm gonna believe this, but we just got a contract. I always joke about, well, that's how good I am, baby, But the point is that I'm not here to compete with the agent. I'm here to be another avenue.
And you're not an agent, you're not a broker.
No.
Okay, so you can legally do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing that, oh, go ahead.
You're not doing that in the state of California.
I do it in Texas.
So that's the thing, I was gonna say, the state laws might come into effect with what you can do, what type of business arrangements you have.
Well,
What a seller has with their
Agent.
listing
yeah,
agent.
what the seller has with their agent is depending on what they put in their contract. So in other words, let's assume, are you an agent? So if you're my agent, and I'm the seller, you're my agent, I may say, we've got a contract for, say, 6 months. Lease when that comes along, I'm like, yeah, that may be a good option. I'll call you and say, listen, I know you've tried hard for about 4 or 5 months trying to get this going, but I've got this other avenue I want to pursue. Here's what I want to do. I want to keep you as my agent. If you would like, I want to extend this listing agreement if you would like, but I've got to look for other options. Here's what I'm willing to offer you. If we can do a lease purchase first, I can pay you, again, depending on the numbers in the house, say, $1,500, $2,000, whatever, if we do a lease purchase first. Or if you get the contract, then they're great.
So that's kind of a addendum to the original contract that you might end up signing with that
They
agent.
put an addendum in there.
Right,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
that's possible.
Yeah. We market to sellers with our brochures, with our postcards, and our door hangers. We have brochures, postcards, door hangers that we use. How to market to buyers. Directional signs, Craigslist, leasing to buy, which feeds into well over 20 of the websites. Leasing by email list, which well exceeds 3,000 people. Loan officers for decline. You can go to loan officers for their declined files. People that couldn't get financed, agents that have clients that got turned down. In other words, assume you had a buyer that it got turned down. Working with you, get them into our pipeline, and you get a fee off of that. That's pretty much it as far as leasing to buy. I know I kind of ran through it, but that's what we offer the leasing to buy. I can show you the back end of leasing to buy, where we actually have well over 80 hours of training videos. We have all contracts, everything that we utilize with leasing to buy to bring all this together as a business. But I think, first and foremost, you've got to approach real estate from a business standpoint. And what's your avenue? What angle are you going to take? Is it going to lease options, wholesaling, etc. The nice thing about leasing to buy is you can just blanket a market, and maybe they have very little equity. Great, we'll do a lease purchase. Or you've got a lot of equity, we can do a wholesale. So you can do a cash offer as well. But again, the great thing about leasing to buy is because of our presence for over 10 years. Let me, before I log onto our website here, I know it's 8 o'clock here, but as far as just before I go on our website here, as far as specific questions of, as far as the lease purchase and how it works, anybody have any questions? I'll kind of zip it through some.
Who gets the tax benefits during the lease period, the seller or buyer?
The seller. You can't get tax benefits unless you're on title. With a lease purchase, there's no title transfer. So the seller gets the tax benefits to get the depreciation of the property.
John,
Yeah.
Okay.
from your training, I decided, I was scared to death to market, and have to do the competition thing with agents and stuff. And yeah, I've gotten a few rough calls from agents in different areas, but what I'm finding, because I market everywhere for lease options now, and I have an agent down in Redondo Beach, and I have one in San Diego, who are thrilled with what I'm doing, and they both said that they will send me deals that they can't do anything with, because some people, they have no equity, they don't have any money to list with an agent. Plus, they're thrilled if a property's been sitting there for 5-9 months, they're thrilled to get a quick nickel. Yeah, sure, I'll take the 2,000 or whatever. And that's all they have to do.
Well,
We do it all.
and that's exactly right. Imagine, think of it as we'll take your skinny leads.
Yeah.
So if an agent has leads, you're an agent. So if you have if you have leads that are just too skinny, where the owner says, "Oh my gosh, I got to come to closing $5,000 or whatever," I can't do that. Or again, whatever the number is. Well, send if you're in a lease and buy program, you can just do it. Either send somebody else or do it yourself as a lease purchase, so that the owner doesn't have to come to closing $5,000. Again, this is not, leasing to buy is not anti-agent by any means. It's a matter of saying, look, we're another source here. And as an agent, you have to be able to approach your client as, we're here to help. What is your situation? Let's look at it. How do we structure this? How do we help? Maybe it's a straight sale. Maybe we look at other avenues. I mean, think about it. How many listings, I don't know how many agents we have here, but how many listings, for whatever agents we have here, where the owner finally said, can we just lease the damn thing? Think about it. Because they were just desperate. What if you could do a lease purchase?
If you were an agent or a broker, would it legally make it any more difficult to do what you're doing?
No, you could still, the difference would be, obviously, you couldn't market to the listed home, to the listed homes.
That would be a
You would
problem.
hit the expired listings.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Do you work with people that are in foreclosure or upside down properties? Do you get any properties for adoption?
People that are
Take a
in-
different approach
You mean from the seller side or the buyer side?
from the seller side. If
From the seller side, if the seller is in foreclosure, if their house is on the foreclosure block, I'm not gonna help. Me personally, I'm not gonna help them. The reason is, I'm bringing a client into that equation. I'm not gonna bring a buyer into a house that is about to be called next Tuesday. I'm not gonna do that. Now, if the house is upside down, possibly, I've gotta look at the numbers. I'll go to the numbers. But I will not bring a buyer into that bad situation. I will not do it. It's not worth my company's name.
follow-up question. What would you say the percentage of houses that you do work on are an upside down situation versus having some equity or just,
Yeah, most of the houses I work on, now I'm from Fort Worth, most of the houses we work on are either a small amount of equity, it's gonna be small, even just small amount. We do certainly have some that are, more, you've got a variable there. But most of them are gonna be a small amount of equity. So at the end of the day, at the time of closing, the title company, the owner's just walking with, well, some of them, just nothing. But they're so happy with that.
Another question over here, Samantha.
Yes.
I do the same thing, only I give over the title.
Okay, well, that's,
Same thing.
that
Lease
would
purchase.
be an owner finance.
Yeah, owner finance subject to. So at what point do you, with your lease options, cut off the amount that you'll take for the house? In other words, how much over market value are you, what's the margin there? Are you taking them if they're overvalued, if they're upside down?
Yeah, if they're upside down, and I'm not, this could be a whole other 2-hour
Yeah,
class,
it
but
could.
what I do is, as far as the numbers, the first thing I look at is, I always ask them, how much do you know, what's it listed at, how much do you owe? Then I go, and within 10 minutes I can figure out what the value of that house is.
Right,
Now, when we set the number, the first thing we set is the option price,
Right.
the top number.
exactly.
So if it's going to be, well, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I had this idiot call, I said, oh, dang it.
It's all
good
recorded.
for- ah."
Don't get into details.
I had a guy call me, he wanted 126, rinky-dink house, which I normally don't jack with. I looked at it, I said, 119 on a good day, you know, if the plan's all lined up properly. I said, dude, you're looking at 119. I said, well, you know, well, I don't tell you, good luck.
Right,
So in other words, I'm not gonna make up bogus numbers.
right.
I've gotta look at what's the value of the property. Now, having said that, I base everything on 1 year. I'm gonna get people financed within 12 months.
Right.
I'm turning burn, I gotta go, you know. But if your situation is where you can structure it for, say, a 3-year, just as an example, we may have some leeway in there.
Right.
Maybe, you know, it's 250, but maybe instead of 260 in, 3 years. So you can go look at the time.
Yes,
But with me, it's 12 months, so I base it on what's the current market. you know.
okay, that's what
So
I do.
praise for that
Yeah,
project.
yeah. So I look
Okay,
at what's
that
it going to price for.
that makes sense,
Yeah.
because you don't have the amount of time.
Yeah, but
So-
now if you have the flexibility of time,
Right.
obviously that gives you a little more flexibility on the price.
What kind of percentage would you go over, if say you had the 3 years?
Well, it depends on the market. In other words, it depends on the area. So in other words, my market in Texas, specifically where I am, is totally different than this.
Absolutely.
Or it may be in Colorado or whatever. So I couldn't answer that because it depends on the market.
Is your area appreciating?
It's, you know what, when everybody else was getting 30% appreciation, just crazy stuff, we were kind of a consistent 2 to 3%. Now, there are certain pockets that took a big dip, where a bunch of investors from California, no offense, bought properties in Texas, thinking, ooh, $65 a square foot, ooh, look at me, this is great. Not realizing, well, that's just what it's worth. So there are certain pockets where I live where they've taken a hit because they went into foreclosure. There's other pockets where they just maintained. So to answer your question, it's pretty solid. It's pretty solid. There are pockets where it's dipped, somewhere it's gone up a little bit. It's pretty,
Slow appreciation.
yeah, pretty solid.
And do you make all your money up front, or do you also make some at the
No.
end when they,
Only up front.
only, all, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Only up front?
Yeah, on the option fee.
But you're still working even though it's up front a year later to get these people qualified and make that happen?
Yeah, we've got the credit improvement in place to help them get financed. We can track everything on our database through the back end of the website to see where are they as far as credit improvement, where are their scores, et cetera.
Okay, now you've been doing this for 11 years. You've had a chance to go through the good times, the bad times, and we're slowly starting to come to the good times. How has that affected your business during those 11 years?
When I started this stupid idea in 2002, and really got it going in 2003, and in 2003, you could take a mirror and fog it with your nose and give that to the loan officer, and you got a house. And I started this idea during that time, but yet, and I had no clue what I was doing, but yet, we were so busy that my business partner at the time, who was making at the time $100,000 a year, within a year quit his job. And keep in mind, we had no clue what we were doing, but we were very, very successful. But we've seen the times where anybody can get a mortgage, all the way to nobody can get a mortgage. This is the prime time for a lease option because nobody can get financed. Again, I give myself an example where I've got perfect credit, money down, but if I switch to an S corp by March 15, which is the cutoff, I can't buy a house for 2 years. because I switched to a W-2. So the tighter the lending guidelines get, the more attractive lease options get. You see, here's the thing that we present to homeowners. Here's what a realtor brings. And you're an agent, so yeah. So here's what we bring. An agent has this many number of listings. As far as on MLS, you have this number of listings, but only this many number of qualified buyers that are approved, if that makes sense, okay? So you've got kind of upside down wedding cake. With a lease option, flip it around. We have this many houses in inventory, this many people that can't quite qualify. So that's what the lease option does.
So it seemed like you'd have an opportunity to do more lease options now, given the difficulty in lending, but you'd have less people at the back end actually finishing that and qualifying and buying the house. What if they get to the end of the 2 years and they still haven't qualified? Did they do another 2 years, or what happens then?
We've had people that that couldn't get qualified. We normally base it on a 1 year lease option because we keep it really tight. We've had people that were very, very close, but they needed a 3-month or 6-month extension, and the seller was fine with that. We just do just a simple 1-page lease extension.
Okay.
And because the owner didn't want the empty house.
Right.
So, but again, this goes back to the filtering at the beginning to make sure where are we here. Yeah.
Just as filtering
Yeah.
renters. If you filter them properly, you're going to have less problems.
Exactly.
Would you be willing to pass those foreclosure leads off to some poor investor that I want to
I'll trade you, Chuck.
My foreclosure leads are in Texas. Although I will say, the company I do work with is from California. They do the pension fund from Alaska, and I do the title research in Texas. But if you want to buy houses in Texas, baby, call me. As far as lease option, and by the way, you all have great questions. By the way, have you done any lease options? Because you had some good questions. Yeah, have you've done some?
Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania? Okay, I don't know how to spell that, but I'm sure it's.
PA will work.
What was your experience?
Well, very much like your strategy. I find that what we call it option consideration fee, is not as high. It goes anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. What one might call the down payment. The seller understands that option consideration fee or down payment doesn't go toward paying the principal. That's how we get paid. We do what we call sandwich lease option.
Oh, okay, yeah. Now, I don't do, what he's talking about is, how much time do we have, by the way?
We have about a half hour. What time is it?
It's at 10 after 8.
Yeah, we got till about 8:30, and then we're going to go on to the other.
Okay. Because I'll talk forever.
I know.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Rich.
Rich. What Rich is talking about is a sandwich lease option. With the sandwich lease option, which is not what we do, that's basically a sublet. That's where I'm signing a contract with you for, say, $1,000 a month on this house for $100,000, and I'm subletting it to Rich for $1,200 a month for $120,000.
Assigning it.
Yeah, well, I'm subletting it. But my goal is that Rich cashes in. I make, say, $20,000 on the back end, but I'm making whatever it was. I forget the numbers I just said. $200 a month, whatever cash flow. I don't do sandwich lease options. First of all, in Texas. By the way, who here has heard that lease options are illegal in Texas? Yeah. I have two. I haven't read the law, but I hope it's not true.
You have restrictions or something, right? Is that right? You have some sort of.
Yeah, you gotta.
He knows what the law.
You gotta have a cowboy boots.
No, there's some.
Actually,
Sorry.
it was CD on Texas lease options, but,
Yeah.
I don't do sandwich lease options because we don't tell on the property.
Yeah.
But we don't do sandwich lease options. And I would say this, for those starting off, looking at lease options, do not start off doing sandwich lease options. That is a whole other risk. What I do is I assign the contract to the end buyer. I have no risk. I'm just saying, how much do we need for the property? Is this okay? Here's the numbers, blah, blah, blah. What are your monthly payments? Okay, let's put the contract together. We assign it to the end buyer. We get the whatever it may be. Basically, it's about 3%, if you put a calculator to it, that we get as the option fee. And
But
that's
but
what
it's
we-
like you said, it's how you structure it.
It's exactly, yeah. But you don't want to do it, you don't want to start off doing a sandwich lease option, because now, dude, you're on the hook, you know, as far as to the owner, is what I mean, you know. Starting off, I mean, you know, if you don't know the market, et cetera, so. But sandwich lease options are great, once you know, kind of get the group in. As far as, I know I'm just kind of zipped through some stuff on lease options, but any generic questions or anything, any questions about lease options, and we can kind of.
When you had the list up there of what happens with the lease option, you said, don't worry about the repairs, they're taken care of. What did you mean by that?
What I mean is that the buyer is taking care of those. What we do with leasing to buy is the buyer is getting a home warranty through Old Republic Home Warranty. So we've got that set up. We want this to be very, very hands-off for the owner. Because let's face it, the owner wants it to be very hands-off for them. They just want to know, okay, on the 30th of each month, boom, here's the money. So we get the home warranty, we order it, and the buyer pays for it. It's $375 for a year. So we have all that set up for them, yeah. Yeah.
In trying to get the buyer qualified, I assume that you've got some way to show that he's paying the bill each month?
Well, here's the thing, this goes into qualifying. At some finance, because we can track them on our database on the back end of leasing to buy, which unfortunately, I don't think we have time to go into now, but I can track people on the back end of my leasing to buy. Once they cross that threshold, we move forward on the finance. They will have the documentation to show to the underwriter, here's my amendment payments. So in other words, I tell people, it's amazing. I get people, you know, on a closing, you know, going to go around and lease purchase, and they come up with, you know, an envelope of cash. I'm like, what the heck are you doing? I can't take this. What am I, a drug dealer? I mean, maybe in a former life, but you know. So they've got to have, you know, a cashier's statement. We have to track this stuff. So they have to be able to show the lender, here's what my payments, back. Because the lender's going to require to show, okay, where do you make your payments?
But this doesn't go on their FICO score?
No, we can't, and because we're not a creditor, we're not a collector or creditor, we don't report to the bureaus. No.
But a lot of times what you can do is the money that deposited goes to a title company or an attorney. And then they have the ability to document it and record it to the lending institute, or not the lending institution, but the credit rating.
Repositories.
Okay.
What happens is,
Payments.
there is, I know of one company, you can use a third-party processor
Yeah.
service company. There is a company that will, mark on, or report to the repositories. Well, it's actually one repository. The problem is, the way they do it is it shows as an institutional loan. Now, I don't want to bore you guys totally to death, but let's assume your monthly payment was $1,000 a month, and you use this company to report to bureaus. It'll show you have an institutional loan of $12,000. So you have a maxed out credit line. So as you're making your payments, it's knocking it down. The problem is institutional loans have very little impact, positive impact on your credit reports, as opposed to a revolving trade loan. So what happens is, if you use this system, you've actually hurt your credit score. Now, there may be some others that I'm not familiar with, but an institutional loan is, doesn't have much positive impact. It's like if you go rent, if you go do like, I don't know, Cons or one of these furniture places, oh, I'm gonna go buy some, you know, a couple of washer and dryers, you know, it's an institutional loan. Well, it doesn't really help your scores that much. It actually shows a max out trade loan.
Does your system qualify people for a refinance into the purchase? It's not really a purchase, it's a refinance,
No.
or they actually have to purchase?
No, and you had asked, I think, on the
Yeah.
Scott, don't be confused by refi and financing. In the old days, I could take my dead grandmother's Social Security card, my dead great-great-grandfather's income, and I could qualify for a house, and I can refi, and ooh, look at me. In order to refi, you've got to be on title. You can't refi something you don't own. So on a lease purchase, you've got to, at the time of, you know, when it comes time to finance, you have to finance that house. You can't refi it, as, you know, you and I talked about it on
Right.
Skype. You can't refi it. You don't own it. You're not on title. And here's the thing. There's a lot of people that go, oh, if I do an owner finance, I don't care what your score is, I'll refi you, blah, blah. Really? You can refi a guy with a 550 FICO score? Well, if that were the case, guess how many people wouldn't be in foreclosure right now? You can't refi if your credit sucks. Sorry. You just can't do it.
But if their credit got up to 640, somehow you got them there.
Yes, no, it's a purchase. Boom.
And if they were on a land contract or a land trust, is there a possibility for stepping into a refinance rather than a purchase where you have to have a down payment, or is that all BS?
Yeah, that's a whole different thing. But yeah,
Okay.
if you're on title, you can, well, even if you're on a lease purchase, you can, well, if you're on a lease purchase, you would purchase the house once you at 640. If you're on a land contract, okay, you can refi the house, okay? But you wouldn't need the down payment. But on a lease purchase, we have it set up, the down payment's already taken care of.
Paid through payments. Gotcha. Okay.
So when we go get people financed, their down payment's basically taken care of. Their closing costs, a big chunk of them are taken care of. I didn't go into all the numbers right now because that would take like next Tuesday. But yeah, so that's a huge misconception there on the refinance and good question. Anyway, I know we've got to wrap things up here. So I know I kind of ran through a bunch of stuff leasing to buy. Despite what you may think, I'm not here to sell a bunch of stuff. Although I've got a convertible Camaro downstairs for sale. Enterprise didn't know it's for sale. Here's the deal. I will say this. I don't sell a bunch of stuff. I just don't. This is the first time I've ever accepted an offer to speak to the real estate group. With leasing to buy, we have people around the nation that utilize our system. I have an operation manual. I don't sell it. You will not find it on the internet for sale. I'm just saying. You will not find it. My other website is Lease Option Classes. You go there, guess what? You will not find my manual for sale. I do not sell it. I don't need the money. I don't sell a bunch of crap. But because I agreed to come here and you'll have wine, I got a little loosey-goosey. What happens is with lease option classes, my goal with leasing to buy originally was to build franchises and have people all around the U.S. doing this, helping people, blah, blah, blah. And I spent, well over $20,000 on franchise documents, and it's a disaster. And I was like, what, that's not really what I want to do. 20,000 later. Then with the license agreement, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, started lease option classes. So now we have people around the nation utilizing our system to help people, help the sellers, help the buyers, help them get qualified, help them get into properties. And if you're doing wholesaling, this is a perfect tie-in because you can go, oh, you need top dollar? Boom. Leasing to buy, baby. So what I do with my training is I've had people pay $4,000 or $5,000 for the training. They come to me, I tell some, slight dirty jokes, then I give them the training, or I go out to them. I then developed it into the web-based system where they pay $1,800 spread out. But they have full access to the back end, the leasing and buy, which, again, I apologize, we just ran out of time to run into right now. So, as far as my sales pitch, here's the deal. If you're interested, I've got the lease option manuals right there, which gives you the full access to leasing and buy the back end, where you can track your clients. You have over 80 hours of training videos, the contracts, all the pre-drafted emails I send out. It's for the manuals, everything is $395, then $97 a month, which I will say this. I'm just being honest. When I started this business, I had no clue what I was doing, but I knew there was something there. This is in 2002, started in 2003. By 2005, I was $80,000 in debt because I had nobody to help me. No freaking clue. All I knew is there's something here. You've got to help these people. $80,000 in debt. I wish there had been an extremely attractive guy in a purple shirt to help me. No, seriously, I was $80,000 in debt. Finally, I'm to the point where it's done now. But the point is that with what I provide, it gets you way past the crap I went through. Having no structure, no foundation, or anything. As far as helping people, the sellers, the buyers, etc. You've got, I think, 8 or 10 manuals there. I'm not here to sell a bunch of stuff, but I will say this. If you all email me next week and want a manual, I'm not going to sell it to you. I just don't sell my manual. You go online, you look for my manual, you're not going to find it. I don't sell it. I don't sell my contracts. I don't sell a manual. I don't sell access, leasing, and buy. This is the real deal. So it's $395, then $97 a month, and but you get full access to back and leasing and buy. You actually get my phone number.
Yeah, you gave me that, right?
Yeah, but if you all are looking at an avenue of lease of real estate to get into, to me, lease purchasing is the best way to get into it. No risk, no capital. You help the sellers, you help the buyers. And if you're doing wholesale or some other avenue, this brings in a whole other dynamics. We can say, oh, you have no equity? Boom, I know what I can do for you. So, anyway, that's my spiel, and appreciate your time. And you're going to edit this video later, right?
Oh, boy, when we get through with it, you won't even recognize that shirt. I want to, let's give John a hand. And what we're going to do is we're going to give you a chance to go back, talk to John, and have a little more wine, a little more food. We're going to get set up for the next thing that's happening. So we're going to take a little break for 5 minutes or so. So just enjoy, talk, drink, talk to John, do whatever. And we will be back with our vendors in about 5 minutes or so. Bring them up, and we're going to kind of go through some of that for you. So don't be walking out the door and leaving, because we do have something to give away at the end of this. But we are going to have a test and ask you questions that you answer it right because you've been listening, then you win. Okay? Take a break.